This is actually the fifth. I think this is the um fifth time we had an fifth time we had a synchronous class. Yeah, fifth. This is the fifth synchronous class. So for my discussion this morning, this is the next task that you will do after you submit the 10 questions last week. So this is the topic is about empathy map. So that's why it is from empathy to ideation. So in the design thinking process, what I've discussed before on the design thinking process, especially in the design thinking framework, we always start with empathy, then afterwards is define, um, ideation, prototyping, and the last part in the framework is testing. So in the design thinking, it's very important that when you design products, systems, services, you always start on empathy. So when we say empathy, that is actually putting yourself in another person's shoes to mirror their thoughts, behaviors, and experiences. So this is more on connecting something in yourself that knows that feeling. And sometimes you always gain or being empathetic through visits, immersions, interviews, and etc. So there's a difference between empathy and sympathy. Okay, di ba to last time I showed to you an image on the difference between being empathetic and being sympathetic. In designing in the design thinking process, um importante jud ang being empathetic. So talking about empathy, we have what we call empathy map. So when we say empathy map, this is a tool used to help consider what the customers want and not what you want, what you think they want. So meaning, Anna, you actually get it from the needs and wants of your target audience or customers. Dili tong unsa tong gusto nimo para sa ilaha. This can be driven by any method of qualitative research such as meanings, concepts, definition, characteristics, metaphors, symbols, and etc. And it is best used, like what I've said kanina, it is best used from the very beginning of the design process. And sa empathy map, it may be used to capture and reflect one customer or a multiple customers, and it helps understand what aspects of the user you know and where you would need to gather more user data. So in the empathy map, be sure to keep it alive by revising and adjusting them as you do more research. And the empathy map is a collaboration tool that helps you understand your target customer and identify his or her needs. So basically, kaning empathy map, this is what the customers need and want mismo. Dili tong unsa tong imong gusto para sa ilaha. Kay kung mag-design man gud ka, dili lang ka mag-base kung unsa jud ang para kanang dili lang puros na magbuhat ka kay tungod gusto nimo na kaniyang imong buhaton para sa ilaha. This is what the uh, customers want for themselves. So that's why we have empathy map, especially in the design thinking framework. We start with being empathetic. So this is the empathy map. Empathy map is composed of three quadrants, and the center, that is the user or the target audience. So it depends on the problem that you submit last time kung kinsang inyong target audience or the customer or the user. So the empathy map is divided with four quadrants. That is says, thinks, feels, and does. So empathy map provides a glance into who a user is as a whole and are not chronological or sequential. And some of these quadrants may seem ambiguous or overlapping. So ang question, unsa ninyo pag-fill out aning empathy map? Gi-fill out ninyo ning empathy map gikan sa inyohang pag-interview sa inyohang target audience or customer. So do not focus too much on being precise, and what you need is you need to fill out the empathy map, and if an item may fit into multiple quadrants, just pick one. Okay, there's a tendency manggod kung ang answer gikan sa inyohang customer or sa inyohang gi-interview kay may fit into multiple quadrants. For example, pwede siya sa says and sa think, you just only to pick one quadrant kung asa ibutang tong answer gikan sa inyong gi-interview. So the four quadrants exist only to push our knowledge about users and to ensure we don't leave any important dimension. So what will happen if you don't have anything to put into a certain quadrant, meaning if there's a possibility na sa upat ka quadrant na isa dira na wala mo'y gibutang, it is actually a strong signal that you need more user research before proceeding in the design process. So in short, you need to fill out all of the four quadrants. Kailangan walay mabilin. Okay? So it is a strong signal if ever you don't have anything to put into a certain quadrant that you need more user research. Kailangan pa nimo mag-interview before proceeding in the design process. So what is the significance of having an empathy map? First is it removes bias from designs. So that's why um, design thinking is more on human-centered, user-centered, and it aligns the team on a single rather, on a single shared understanding of the customer, and it discovers weaknesses in research, uncovers the customer needs that the user themselves may not even be aware of, and it guides towards meaningful innovation. So let us describe each part of the quadrant. So the first one is says, this contains what the user says out loud in an interview or some other usability study. So ideally, it contains verbatim and direct quotes from research. So some examples of kanang answers gikan sa imong gi-interview, ang ilang isulti could be, I want something reliable, or naiuban na I don't understand what to do from here. The other part is things. So in short, unsang usually ginahuna-huna sa um, imong interview sa customer nimo, sa imong target audience. It captures what the user is thinking throughout the experience, and it tends to reveal a bit about a user's beliefs and the logic they employ when approaching the experience. So you need to ask yourself, what occupies the user's thoughts? What matters to the user? So it is actually possible to have the same context in both says and thinks. Kay ang answer man gud ni interviewee kay pwede siya mabutang both says and thinks. However, Pay specially attention to what users think but may not be willing to vocalize. Kay ang says magod is more on unsa tong gusto isulti ni um, target audience nimo or customer o unsa tong gusto i-vocalize ni customer, pero ang things is more on unsa ang gihunahuna niya. So try to understand why they are reluctant to share. Are they unsure, self-conscious, polite, or afraid to tell others something? So some example na pwede mabutang sa things na ma-answer sa imuhang target audience or customer is this is really annoying. Sometimes they always say that I am dumb for not understand this. The other quadrant is does. So this encloses the actions the user takes. So it focuses on the user's experiences directly, and you're trying to capture their specific behaviors and actions impartially. So from your research or from your interview, what does the user physically do? How does the user go about doing it? So most likely unsay ginabuhat jud sa imong user or sa imong target audience. So some examples is kung sa depende sa isa ka problem or sa specific problem, iyang masulti is he or she refreshes pages several times. He or she shops around to compare prices. So most likely unsa tong ginabuhat sa imong target audience. And lastly is feels. This is more on the user's emotional state, often represented as an adjective plus a short sentence for context. So your goal here in the fields is to read between the lines and empathize with how your users' emotions fluctuate throughout their time in your property. So you need to ask yourself about kung unsa ano yung pag fill out sa fields. What worries the user? What does the user get excited about? And how does the user feel about the experience? So some kanang pwede mabutang sa feels kay they will feel impatient. So kung i-relate atong kanina sa does, pages load too slowly. So kaning impatient, this is an adjective word, and the short sentence could be or ang answer gikan sa inyong target audience or interviewee is the pages loads too slowly. So they will feel impatient. The next example is kung i-compare nato sa DOS na example atong nag tanaw siya mga prices. So he or she or he or she is confused kay tungod too many contradictory prices. And another example is he or she is worried they are doing something wrong. So most likely ang feels manggod is adjective ang inyong ibutang based on the reading between the lines from the answers sa imuhang target audience or customer na inyong interview. So we have an example. I will show you an example of empathy map na gi-fill out. So before that, ang empathy map kay gikan kan Marites. So just background information kay Marites. She is a single mother of two. Okay, take note, she is a single mother of two. She works 40 hours a week and enjoys spending time with their family and friends. So mo na ang background ni Marites. So here is the empathy map of Marites. So as you can see here, sa tunga, that is the user, which is Marites. And kaning upat, you fill out ang 4 quadrants. So like what I've said kanina, you need to fill out all 4 quadrants sa imong empathy map. So let us read unsang gi-fill out diri sa iyahang empathy map. So sa DOS, unsang iyang ginabuhat, that is she go to work at 6 a.m. and comes home at 7 p.m. during the work week. She pay the bills, buy groceries, and do chores during the weekends. And she spend time with the children. Ang sis, always, ang iyang gina-vocalize mostly is she loves spending time with her family and friends. She enjoy what she do at her job. She is tired all the time and she can't take care of herself anymore. Ang things, kung siyang ginahuna-huna, she think that she's spreading herself too thin, and she think that she don't have enough time to take care of everything by herself. And lastly is feels. So ang adjective diri is worried. She's worried that she is not fulfilling her duties to her family, company, and herself. So if you notice sa feels, there is an adjective plus the short sentence. Okay? So kaning upat na gi-fill out diri sa ang mga sentence rather na gi-fill out diri sa 4 quadrants kay gikan kay Marites sa pag-interview kay Marites. So mao na kung sa inyong questions na gi-submit last time, mao ninyong gamiton for your guide when you ask questions to your target audience. So, gikan from the empathy map na inyong gi-fill out, dira ninyo ma-discover or formulate unsa ang need or unsa ang want ni Marites. So, kay Marites, she needs to lessen daily chores to have more time for her family, friends, and herself. So, ang need niya is ma-lessen ang ihang ginabuhat, her daily chores, and ang goal is para napa siya more time, spending more time sa iyang family, friends, and especially to herself. So I have another example of empathy map. This is actually for ang user ani is since wala may gi-state diri sa empathy map, ang user ani is kaning mga single person, okay, na nagagamit og online dating app. So let us review the parts diri sa empathy map. Ang success, ang iyang gina-vocalize atong gi-interview, ang gi-vocalize niya, ang gi-answer niya is online dating is a nightmare. So mao lang mostly iyang gina-sulti, gina-vocalize. Thinks is iyang ginahuna-huna mostly is why are all my matches so far away? Thus, iyang ginabuhat kung magamit siya og online dating app, logs into dating apps at least once a day, and feels the adjectives that describe how he or she feels, or she feels frustrated, skeptical, and confused. So from the empathy map, kailangan nato ma-formulate unsa ang need ni user. So ang need ni user or ni customer is a convenient and reliable way of dating to find a partner. So again, ang needed niya or ang want based from this empathy map is a convenient and reliable way of dating to find a partner. So, mao ang goal niya is makangita og partner and ang iyang need is a convenient and real and a reliable way of dating. So, from the empathy map manggod, like what I've said, you actually base that from your interview. Depende sa inyong target audience. So, kung mag-interview mo, you use your questions as your guide to ask your target audience or customer. And it doesn't mean kung na may question, you it doesn't mean na mag-stick mo with your questions. Mura siya dili na scripted interview. Kay sometimes man good kung mag-interview man mo based on my experience before when I did design thinking workshop before, um tung nag-interview me, dili mi naga um, stick sa among questions. Kay mura siya dili maguna siya scripted. Kailangan ang iyang interview conversational. Okay? Mura good ikaw ang host and sila ang guest. So every time mag-ask mo question and then mag-answer ang inyong target audience, pwede mo ask og additional question kahit wala to sa inyong gisabit na questions. Kay di ba kung makita ninyo sa mga um, kanang naga-host, nasa sila paper kay tungod nasa sila mga guide questions pero sometimes ask pa sila additional questions based sa tong gitubag sa ilahang gi-interview. So that's why kung mag-interview mo, it's more on conversational, dili scripted. So based from the empathy map na inyong gibuhat, you formulate unsay need and want ni target customer ninyo or audience, ma-formulate po ninyo ang design challenge. So this is what we call the design challenge. This is the positive framing of a specific problem or opportunity. And this is from empathy map, which you can create your design challenge. And it usually starts with how might we. I know that you are familiar with the how might we na question because this is what I mentioned to you before sa I think sa introduction to design thinking. So ang general format for design challenge is how might we interviewee type to interviewee's need or problem so that interviewee's goal. So mo na ang general format when you formulate a design challenge. So ang interviewee type, kung kinsang inyong interview, kinsa inyong target audience or customer. So kung kay Marites, kuan siya, single parent siya, interviewee's need or problem, gusto i-base na to kay Marites, i-lessen ang iyang daily chores, and ang iyang interviewee's goal, ang goal ni Marites is para makaspend pa siya time with her family, friends, or children. So here are some examples of the design challenge. So kay Marites, since I presented to you two examples ng mga empathy maps, kay Marites represents the working single parents. So ang design challenge based sa empathy map niya is how might we help working single parents to lessen their errands, so that is the needs, so that they can have more time with their children. So mo na ang goal. The second example na design challenge is about dating. So atong mga single it is more on the ang target audience is the single people. So ang design challenge, Ani, is how might we help single people to date conveniently and reliably so that they can find a partner. So ang need nila is um, conveniently and reliably way to date or for dating. And ilang goal is tungod they need to find a partner. So this is how you formulate or create a design challenge. So from the empathy map, you um, identify unsay need and want sa imong target audience or customer, and then afterwards you formulate the corresponding design challenge. And the format sa design challenge is this one, kaning how might we help na question with the interviewee type. Um, Also, it includes the interviewee's need or problem and also the interviewee's goal. Because from the design challenge that you formulate, dira na ka mag-base sa imong idea unsa ang possible solution nimo. Okay? So dira ma-proceed ang from empathy to ideation. So like what I've said, from design challenge, dira na ninyo o dira na mo mag-formulate og possible solution, ideas for possible solution. So ideation, this is what I've mentioned sa design thinking process. It is synthesizing observations into insights that can lead to solutions or opportunities for change. So it is a divergent thinking generate creative ideas by exploring many possible solutions, and you may write or draw as many ideas as possible. That's why in ideation, there are no crazy or stupid ideas, because since you are by group, um, kada group member jud mismo na jud mo'y own idea na pwede mahuna-huna. And the more ideas to write down, the better. So that's why kung design mo product, especially if you apply design thinking process, you actually start on empathy. You need to understand unsay kailangan sa imong customer. And from that point of view, from creating an empathy map and formulating a design challenge, mao ni imong basis to um, formulate ideas for possible solution. So atong um, if we go back to the design challenge, how might we help working single parents to lessen their errands so that they can have more time with their children? In your sa inyo unsa may mga possible ideas for possible solution rather sa kanina design challenge for working single parents? Anyone? Unsa na mga ideas na inyong mahuna-huna for possible solution for this? Na how might we help working single parents to lessen their errands so that they can have more time with their children? You can type in the chat box if you want. If you cannot on your mic. Sige, unsa may kaingani man ang inyohang buhaton sa inyohang ano, mukuhang maid sir, hire maid, okay? If we think of another aspect, instead of hiring a maid, unsa pay other idea for possible Lessen working hours per day, okay. Unsa pa man? Anyone? Na pa ba? Unsa pa inyong maisip na mga um, idea for possible solution for this design challenge? Change job. Okay, change job. Mao lang, hiring maid, lessen working hours per day, change job. Is there other, how about the others? Do you have any other idea or ideas for possible solution for this design challenge? How about kaning second? Sige, kaning second. How might we help single people to date conveniently and reliably so that they can find a partner? So ilang need is to date conveniently and reliably so that they can find a partner. Unsa may idea or ideas for a possible solution for this design challenge? Unsa inyong mahuna-huna diri na design challenge for this second one? Second example.
Dating apps, sir.
Ha?
Dating app.
Dating app? Okay, murag kay since dating app man ang gigamit pud niya basin another dating app na um, convenient and reliable sa iyaha kay basin ay uban mga dating apps na dili convenient and reliable. Probably program the app, sir, so that ang partner na ilang ma-date online is within their place lang for convenience. Okay, pwede po. That is a possible idea pod for possible that is an idea for a possible solution. How about the others? Di ba most likely tumahuna-huna ani kay dating app. Kung ako mismo, kung ako'y magkuhan ani og idea is dating app jud mismo. Pero ilahi lang nako ang dating app na um, it is convenient and reliable sa kaning magamit sa dating app mismo para makakita na dahil silang partner. Himama lang ilang goal. And mao na kung sa design challenge man good mismo, kung mag formulate mong idea and idea for possible solutions, daghay mga ideas ang inyong mahuna-huna. That's why sa inyohang sa inyohang buhaton na task based sa inyohang gi submit ng mga questions, if ever mag-proceed na mo on um, creating empathy map and also the design challenge and also the idea for possible solutions, kailangan mo mag-collaborate, mag-cooperate with your group members. Okay, it's the same thing of um what I've experienced before with my group members during the design thinking workshop before. So nag-workshop ko sa una about ani. We always talk about unsi mga best idea. So, di ba kung gi-example sa inyo ha kay out of school youth. And then, actually, I forgot the how might we question na among na-formulate. Basta ang idea na mo, daghan kayo until we finally decided na magbuhat mi og kanang application na for out of school youth mismo. Okay? Na they can go to college anytime they want. So, mo na mong nahuna-huna na idea. Okay? So, that's why sa as mentioned sa what I mentioned about the empathy map, the design challenge, and the idea for possible solution. So the next task that you need to do is using your questions that you had submitted last time, you need to interview at least 10 people per group. So you need to summarize your interviews and fill out the empathy map. So since 10 man kabuok, i-sum up lang tanan mga answers nila. And kung user, ibutang nang dito kung kinsa tong target audience ninyo, customer. So say, ang inyong target audience or customer are homeowners. So homeowners ang inyong ibutang dito sa user, dito sa tunga. Then you fill out the 4 quadrants. Kailangan i-fill out ha. Kailangan um, walay mabilin. Kailangan ang says, thinks, does, and feels na ay mabutang. Then from the empathy map, you need to create your design challenge at on how might we question based on your interview findings. And once you had your design challenge, you prepare a 3-minute presentation discussing your empathy map, design challenge, and idea for a possible solution. So for the 3-minute presentation, it is limited to one presenter per group, only one person who will present and explain their output. And afterwards, there will be a 2 minutes for questions, comments, and suggestions. And this will serve as your quiz number 2. So ang grading ani is through rubrics. So ang pag-grade ani sa inyong presentation, sa inyong output is by rubrics. So since this is a presentation, nangungutan namang god na unsay klase unsa ang pag-present. So you can use PowerPoint presentation, and since you will present your empathy map, it depends on your creativity unsa ninyo pagbuhat sa inyong empathy map. May mga applications na kanang bitaw nagagamit og sticky notes, pwedeng anang inyong pagbuhat. You can find it online na kanang sticky notes ang inyong gamiton na pang-present sa inyong empathy map. So if we go back here sa one example diri sa empathy map, di ba murag sticky notes man ni na application ani online, murag online ninyo makita na sticky notes, pwede ka mo gamit og sticky notes. So pwede ka nang inyong buhaton to present your empathy map. Actually itong sa MOA, tung workshop mi kay naka second workshop ko design thinking na ito isa ka online application kung asa kami within the group members is nag-cooperate me, nag-drag me og mga sticky notes kung asa pwede na mo mabutang ang among nakuha na answers gikan sa interview. So nagabutang mi og unsa mo ibutang sa says, thinks, does, and feels. So it depends on your creativity unsa ninyo pag-present ang empathy map. And also, it depends po if you want to present a pre-recorded video. Okay, di ba usually kung online, since it is an online setup, depende man god kung if ever ang inyong present is pre-recorded, especially isa lang ang mag-present. So kung pre-recorded, ang advantage ana is tuloy-tuloy jud ang pag-present ana. Kay since walay dili makuan ang ma-lesson ang unsay tawag anang kanang in terms of technicalities, unforeseen technicalities. Kay kung synchronous manggod like what I usually do sa klase, synchronous man ni, may tendency na mawala ang internet or kanang dili mag-next ang presentation nako. So mo nang mga unforeseen na mga kanang mahitabo if ever mag-present og kanang PowerPoint presentation. So that's why sa inyo ha, I suggest it's better to present a pre-recorded video. Pero pwede pod ka ng synchronous. So kung Google Meet man natong kuan nun, so kung kuan mo, mag-present mo, you just only share your presentation, then actual mo mag-explain. Pero pwede pod na ang inyong ipakita is the pre-recorded video. Okay? So again, this will serve as your quiz number 2. And reminders, presentation sa inyong buhaton na task will be next week, April 14 to 16, 2021. So next week is daily lecture. It is on the presentation sa inyong koan, output. And some reminders, watch the 2 videos on intellectual property uploaded on Moodle. So I will um, share the contents sa LMS after this one. And don't forget to register the required webinars atong akong gipost na scheduled webinars sa FB group and also in the LMS. So we have 3 webinars. The first one is for the design thinking. So this is Launch Plus Incubator Program, Preparing the Perfect Pitch. Okay, this is for your preparation for pitching presentation, which is for midterm and finals exam. Kay at least na mo'y idea or knowledge how to pitch. And the second and the third webinars is more on the intellectual property. So the second webinar is Own Your Intellectual Property, Learn to Protect It. It is more on the basics of intellectual property ra gihapon. And the third one is Patent Search, which is on FB Live. So even though FB Live ni siya, you need to register. Okay? And the presentation schedule, I will inform you or update you kanus mo mag-present since I handled 4 sections. So kailangan ako um, upload o schedule for the presentation sa inyong output. So do you have any questions so far or clarification? Sige, questions or clarification?